What's going on, everybody? So, past weekend was Can Jam Dallas, and there was one product that I was really excited to hear. My main source that I use in doing reviews and just listening to music is my, what is it called? The Luxury Precision 10th Anniversary P6P Pro Silver. And it's kind of like my benchmark for the sound that I love. Like, I've been through a lot of DAPs. IBESO 320 was my first big DAP. Love that DAP because then you could have the different cards. So I had the AMP 14, the 12, whatever. Then I've had the IBESO DX320 Max TI, which was a great pairing, especially with Raven. I've had the 340, had the Stellan Kern SPK 3000T, which has the tubes. So it's been kind of like a mixing and matching and learning a lot about DAPs and settled on, oh, and also had the Luxury Precision E7 with the AKM card and the 1955. 1955 was my favorite DAP because it just, the way it sounded was amazing. And it did that, it enhanced and made better all the IMs that I currently own. But then I'd always wanted the silver, and luckily, Passion for Music, one of my dear friends, traded me. So I have settled on the silver. I tell that whole story because it's also always important to know the sources that the reviewer is using. So yes, I use the 10th anniversary silver. So Dallas, whole bunch of new products, but most of them were new also at Can Jam, SoCal. But one that was released about a week ago is the new Hiby, had to look it up to pronounce it correctly, RS8II. And it's also an R2R DAP, much like my 10th anniversary silver. So I was very excited about it. Well, because they're so awesome, they've always been awesome with me. Music Tech allowed me to bring this home with me to do a review on. So without further ado, so today's review is going to be on the Hiby RS8II. So the Hiby RS8II R2R DAP. It retails for $3,899. One of the key features that it has the Qualcomm Dragon Wing processor. So it comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. So that's pretty fast and pretty big for the RAM type. It has the brand new industrial style, which you can see here with all the sexy curves to it. It's got the breakthrough Darwin 3 DAC architecture. It's got adaptive amplifier, so A and AB, but it can be used at the same time, which allows for better battery life. It's got a powerful intelligent processor. It's got the Sankofa AI tonality simulator, which is kind of cool because it allows it to, in real time, change the sound. So if you liked reel-to-reel sound back in the day or a cassette player, it'll do things like that and probably a lot more. It's coming in the future update. It's not on it now, but it will be coming in a future update, so I just wanted to note that. It's got a high voltage large battery, and it also runs the HibyOS Android system as well. So that's just kind of a few of the features. We'll be going over more in depth later on inside the review. Let's take a closer look at the RS8II. Very interesting design here, especially when you think of the top line here and how it just kind of goes down into the knob, which I kind of like. I think it's a nice style. But then you have a very similar design here at the bottom. I think it's pretty cool. I've seen some mixed reviews online. Everybody's going to have their opinion. But I honestly think that without putting the case on it, it is a very good looking DAP. You have your control buttons here on the side, the power button here. You can put your card in inside this little flap here. So that makes it convenient. It gives a little bit of protection. Press that back in. You've got your POs here for 4435. You've got your line out here. You also have a mini HDMI connector here. you've got your Type C here, which is very nice because it's a 3.0. So on my charging station, I saw it getting up to like 72, which is pretty darn fast for a DAP. My EA4 Electrian Precision gets up to 40. So 72 means you can charge this thing pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. So that's nice. You've got your volume knob here. Nice click sound. Pretty solid feeling. Since this is a review unit, I'd think that it might be a little loose. I heard from a couple other people that theirs is much tighter, so that's nice. But yeah, so that's kind of like a closer look at the Hiby RS8II. So let's do our startup speed check. See if I can do this at the same time. Hold this, hit start. There we go. With that fast processor, it has a pretty good startup time compared to some DAPs that I've tested, and boom. So about 18 seconds for startup, so that's not bad at all. Alright, so let's check this bad boy out. The first thing you'll notice when using it is how fast this thing is. This is just going through title view in the Hiby app. You've got folder view, album, and you can just see, I'm zooming through, and I can go ahead, pick an album, pick the song, go back out to the menu, hop back in, go into artist view, and it's just an amazingly quick DAP. Go into QBuzz or CoBuzz, it pops up pretty quickly. The app's not slow, not getting much lag at all, and it's great. Cool thing, when you're playing music, you pull this over and it's a quick menu, but you've got the awesome VU meter. You can mess with turbo mode, the gain that you're on, the adaptive. So it's got Class A and Class AB, or you can put it on adaptive where it'll go back and forth between the two for efficiency, and you can get really good battery time. So it is super quick and doing everything. So this has actually been the most enjoyable DAP that I've used because it's just super, super fast. You can go into settings, mess with your Darwin controller, and as you can see, everything that I'm doing is really, really super fast. You've got your plugins here that Hiby will be adding more in the future that you can change. This is a cool feature because essentially it allows you to tailor your music, the MSEB. So let's say you wanted more bass extension, or you wanted warmer as opposed to a cooler sound, some more analytical sound, or you wanted a warmer, luscious sound, control that here. You can do bass texture, note thickness. Like, the sky's the limit on how many ways you can make this DAP sound, which is really cool. You've got your PEQ here, and as you can see, no matter what I'm doing, pop back into CoBuzz, go to Discover, just pick random stuff. It's super fast. Or if you've got all your music on the DAP, since it has 512 gigabytes of space, you can see that everything that you do is freaking lightning fast. It's as fast as cell phones are today. Like if you had a brand new cell phone and you hate going onto your DAP because your DAP is much slower, there's more lag, you're not going to run into that problem with this thing. It's like so infectious because it's just, you just fall in love with it because it's so super quick. So yeah, this to me is one of the big standout features. Another standout feature too is battery life. So I'll get into that more later, but the battery life too is really outstanding on this thing. So this is just the part where I kind of show you the features and everything and how fast the DAP is. And yeah, I'm really impressed with just the speed, which allows you no wait times. It's almost instant music listening. So yeah. All right. I have used a lot of IEMs to test this DAP out, but I have focused mainly on 4 IEMs that I know the best and have peculiarities when it comes to driving. So they're not the easiest IEMs to drive except Phase 1. So I've got Phase 1 here, which is pretty simple to drive. You can drive it off an Apple Doggle if you want to, and it'll sound glorious. But it's pretty easy to drive. We've got a stereo. Thank you, AAF Evo, for letting me borrow his set to do a review and to listen to. It is, I would say, not storm level, but pretty close to storm level in driving. We've got Fulgrim. Now, Fulgrim doesn't really actually need that much power, but if you want to get it to be a more U-shaped sounding IEM, then you give it some power. So it can take power and it can do it very well. The hardest to drive IEM at the moment is the Subtonic Storm, and it is a beast when it comes to sound and the power that you need to drive it. So it's the last one I'll mention here, but these are the 4 that I focused on in reviewing the Hiby RS8II. All right, so there are 3 things that I want to focus in on with the RS8II. The first one is speed. Used a lot of DAPs, mentioned before, the ones that I've used. My Silver's pretty fast, but Luxury and Precision, the way they do their DAPs is very, very simple. So of course it's going to be fast, and I've had no issues with it. But when I've come to a lot of the Android-based DAPs, lots of times they're using slower processors, and they're just extremely slow. Or there's some kind of lag. Like either it takes like 10 hours for, if you put your music in it, for it to catalog it. Or things just like pulling up Qobuz or Tidal, any of those apps, and flipping through and trying to find your music is kind of a pain in the butt because there's some lag there. Or just startup times. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it. But with this new chip with 16 gigabytes of RAM, the RS8II is lightning fast. Fast that it makes you feel like you're using your cell phone. Like if you have the latest cell phone and it's, lightning fast, so is this DAP. So that is just incredible for me when using it, because it's like going from cell phone to another cell phone that's lightning fast, but it's your music player. And that just opens up a whole different world because there's just no lag there. I've used this thing for like 6 days now and have not had a time where I've flipped something or turned on something and I'm like, oh God, this thing is slow. So that's one of my favorite features of it. The second feature that I like very much is that the battery life. The battery life, so to give an example, it's got the longest battery life of any DAP that I've owned. The D320 Max Ti was pretty good. I could make it through a full day of listening. And when I say a full day, something like 8 to 10 hours, since I'm a reviewer and I listen a lot. So lots of times I run into an issue where I'm listening to a DAP and then boom, I've got to recharge it, which sucks. The cool thing about the 340 was you were able to plug it in and it would bypass the battery. So you don't run into any issues with it. But if you're just like, let's say you're on a 20-hour flight, you better hope that you're able to plug it in. With the Hiby RS2 or RS8II, you are like just blown away. So for example, I think it was like Tuesday and Wednesday I tested it because I was listening to very hard to drive IEMs that day because I wanted to see its performance. And what blew me away is essentially, I think I listened 8 hours one day, like 10 hours the next day, and I had 20% left on Thursday, which is incredible because, again, hard to drive IEM, so I had in turbo mode and I had it in the highest gain mode, and the thing flipping back because it has the switch system that allows it to go from A to AB and do it efficiently in a way where it allows for a longer battery life is just excellent. Like, that's crazy. So I would say like I got 18 hours and still had a little bit left of the battery. So like, for example, if you're on a long flight, you've got a huge flight, or you just don't want to have to plug in a DAP every day to charge it if you've had long listening sessions, this is a pretty stellar battery performance because it allows you to listen to it and not really have to worry about the battery, which is something that is glorious for a DAP. Like, it just blows me away because I can sit there and not have to worry, or just like every once in a while look over the battery to make sure that I'm not running out or it's not getting low. That is such a luxury that is really nice to have, especially at this price. Like, at this price, you don't want to have to be worrying about the battery. And luckily on the RS8II, you don't have to. All right, so the third thing about the RS8II is the sound. Now, it's kind of funny because a lot of other people sit there and go, the other two aren't that important. But I feel like when it comes to DAPs, the other two are things that we have to kind of deal with because they're problematic, and that we have a DAP where I'm talking about sound third because the other two are so good, that's actually a positive. So I said before that the silver is my benchmark for when it comes to the sound that I want out of a DAP, and the RS8II comes very close. Where I feel like the silver, both of them being R2R DAPs, the silver has more of an in-your-face that I'm going to prove to you that I have this amazing sound with all this resolution, with this R2R sound that's analog but has a lot of texture to it. And I feel like the RS8II is more of a laid-back sound to it. It still has texture, it still has that R2R sound, the analog sound, the naturalness of the instruments. So instruments sound phenomenal, voices sound awesome. It's just a more laid-back approach to it. Does it have the same resolution as the silver? No. And that's fine because it's the way I look at it. In my stereo video, I said that, does it have the same resolution as like the, let's say, the Storm or the APX SE? No. But does that make it worse? No, because it's all about the tuning. And I think they did a very good job on the RS8II in a sense where they tune it in a way where I think it's a U-shaped kind of tuning. So you've got some sparkling, you've got some good thump, you know, but because of all the little features inside which help you mold the sound to what you want, you kind of have to start at a baseline, and I think it's an excellent baseline. Like, out of the box, you're going to enjoy the sound of it because, again, if you're an R2R fan, it's going to have that analog, beautiful sound to it. I listen to all types of music, from classical to jazz, and it's just got a great all-around sound that allows you to pretty much enjoy all your genres. Now, another thing that I did was I tested it with a few IMs that are hard to drive because that seems to be a thing now, and some IMs are easy to drive, some are hard to drive. So it's nice to have a DAP that allows you to play them all in a sense. So with Subtonic Storm, that's probably the hardest, or if not the hardest IM to drive. I was very shocked with how good it sounds. It sounds excellent coming out of it. I'm not losing what you would typically lose if you don't have enough power to power Storm. So I've got nice bass, good texture. The stage and the images of the notes are just huge, what you expect from Storm. You've got the height. I have my cat trying to jump on my lap. You've got the width. So you have a lot of different things that usually you don't find in just a pairing of a DAP with Storm. The realism that you get when listening to Storm is there. So it's nice to have a DAP because there are a few out there. The Max TI, my Silver runs it runs it great. There are a few DAPs out there that really give you that Storm experience where you don't have to carry an amp with you. And that's the beauty of it. And I tested it with 2-wire, 4-wire, and 8-wire. And it just sounded very, very good, especially coming from a DAP. I also did the AAF Evos, thank you for allowing me to borrow it, Asteria, which is another harder to drive IM. And I really, truly love the pairing of these two together because the Asteria is a laid-back, nice sound. already has some lushness, some analog sound, and the RS8II just enhanced that. It sounded really, really good. I also use the Fulgrim, which is it's kind of like one of those weird ones because I feel like it's more V-shaped if you don't give it enough power, but it becomes U-shaped when you do give it enough power. So you've kind of got like multiple tunings within one IM. But I still had that awesome bass that you can feel with those great mids that are separated, holographic. You've got layering coming at you, especially with that 8-way crossover inside. It just really fine tunes the sound, and the treble wasn't too harsh on it. It's another thing I like to bring up with the RS8II. It's got the sparkle, it's got the extension of the treble, but I don't feel like it's rolled off any. It's just a natural, nice treble to it. So the last one was the Fei Wan, which is an easy IM to drive. The cool thing about the Fei Wan is it has this natural warmth analog sound to it. Catch a theme, even though I do own Storm and love Storm. But sometimes I like that retro sound in a sense, and it drives it. It enhances all the good parts for me of Fei Wan, where I just get more of that just warm blanket kind of sound and can just sit back and enjoy the music. So I'm very impressed with the RS8 II because I feel like if you want like a natural sound to your music that you just sit back, enjoy, it's excellent at that. And then on top of that, the cherry on top is with the apps coming, with the AI segment part coming for it. It's one of those DAPs that's really neat because if you want to fine tune it more to adjust it to how you like to hear your music, it is capable of doing that. So pound for pound, super impressed and really enjoyed my time with the RS8II. And it's one that I'm considering because there's no streaming on my Silver. I'm considering purchasing down the road because I kind of miss streaming. So when you put it all together in totality, I think that Hiby did an excellent job on the RS8II, and it's definitely a pretty good DAP, really good DAP. In fact, almost a great DAP. So, is the Hiby RS8II a buy? If you're out there looking for a, I guess in the realm of things, this would be a Summit Fi DAP that does everything. If you want a fast DAP, it does that. No lag, no slowdowns. It's perfect. If you want great battery life, it has that. So that's very important, especially if you have to go for a long flight or long extended periods of times where you aren't able to charge, it'll last. And if you want a great sounding DAP that allows you to fine tune how you want to hear it, it does that too. So I think it's an excellent buy. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask, and I will see you in the next video.